So you're thinking about a career as a tiling supervisor.
It seems you are ready to ditch that route sponge
Yeah.
and pick up a clipboard.
And start calling the shots. But
It's a pretty fascinating role.
what does it actually look like day to day? Let's dive into these resources you sent us and find out.
You know, it's interesting. When you think about a tiling supervisor,
Mm-hmm.
it's so much more than just knowing how to lay tile.
Right.
It really is a blend of, having that hands-on experience, but also leadership.
Okay.
And even a touch of artistry, I would say.
Artistry.
Yeah.
Okay, now you've got me intrigued. What do you mean by artistry?
Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
These large format tiles that are everywhere these days.
Right.
It's not just slapping them down.
Yeah.
There's a real, precision to it.
Yeah.
It's understanding how those tiles interact with the space and making sure that the final product is both functional, but also, visually stunning.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So it's more than just, I don't know, following the instructions on the box of tiles.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is where this idea of monitor tile fitting operations.
That's what it says here in this RoleCatcher guide.
Right.
So-
It's like you're the conductor of an orchestra, but it's a tile-laying orchestra.
Interesting. Okay, I like that.
Right. You're managing a team.
Right.
You're managing resources, timelines. And then, of course, the quality has to be top-notch every step of the way.
Wow.
So it's a high-stakes, fast-paced kind of environment.
Yeah, you can't really mess up tile, can you? Once it's down, that's it.
Yeah, you got to get it right.
Okay.
First time.
So somebody who is up for the challenge.
Exactly. Someone who can lead with expertise, but also confidence.
Well, speaking of confidence, RoleCatcher, they have a whole section in here about putting your best foot forward
Yes.
and how important that is in this field.
Oh, absolutely.
Like having a really amazing CV.
Yes, having a killer CV.
Yeah.
Because you might have the most impressive, tiling skills out there.
Right.
But if you can't present that to employers in an effective way, they might never even know.
You're not going to get the job.
Yeah.
So there's more to it than just laying the tile. You also have to be able to kind of lay down the law.
Yes.
In a
Being
way.
able to talk about it.
But in a firm but fair way, of
Yeah.
course. So let's talk about, the day-to-day challenges. What does a tiling supervisor actually face?
Sure.
Because this guide mentions problem-solving and adaptability a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me an example? What are we talking about here?
Okay, so imagine this. You are on a tight deadline,
Okay.
and a shipment of tile arrives, but it's damaged.
Oh, no.
A good tiling supervisor doesn't panic, right?
Right.
They take a deep breath, they assess the situation,
Okay.
they get on the phone with the supplier.
Communicate.
Right, exactly.
Figure it out.
Yes, explore what the alternative options are and figure out a way to keep that project moving forward.
To minimize that damage, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
As smoothly as possible.
Okay.
So it really is like a puzzle that you're constantly having to solve.
Right.
But instead of pieces, you're dealing with people, materials, and deadlines.
That sounds stressful.
It can be, but it's also what makes it exciting.
Okay, so that is definitely a challenge. I can see that.
Yes.
But what about the reward? What's the upside of all this pressure, all this problem solving?
Well, just imagine
Yeah.
you've just completed this really complex project.
Okay.
Maybe it's a stunning lobby, or a beautiful mosaic,
Ooh, yeah.
or even a perfectly tiled swimming pool.
I love those.
And you get to stand back and look at it, and you see those tangible results
Yeah.
of all your hard work, your leadership,
Yeah.
your eye for detail.
That's got to feel good.
That feeling is incredible.
Yeah.
Knowing that you created something that's lasting, that's beautiful, that's functional, incredibly rewarding.
And it's not just about the tile, is it?
No.
You're also building a team.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
mentoring new tilers. You're sharing your expertise.
Absolutely.
It's interesting because this guide mentions that even as a trainee tiling supervisor, you're kind of already thrown into that role
Yeah.
of training and mentoring.
right. From the get-go.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because you start, maybe by assisting those more senior supervisors, learning the ropes.
Mhm.
And then as you gain that experience, you can climb that ladder.
Become the mentor yourself,
Exactly.
from trainee to junior tiling supervisor, and then eventually senior tiling supervisor.
Hey,
Wow, so there's a real path there.
it's a path where you can grow, you can evolve.
This is cool. They've even got, sample profiles of tiling supervisors in here
I love that.
at different stages of their careers,
Oh, that's fantastic.
talking about their experiences, the highs, the lows, the skills that they've developed. It's really neat.
Yeah, it's so valuable to hear from people who have been there, done that,
Right.
understand those real-world demands, but also those real-world rewards of this profession.
It's not all sunshine and roses, though, is it?
Well, right.
This guide is very upfront about that,
Yeah.
about the physically demanding nature of the job.
Well, you're on your feet all day. You're
Right.
lifting heavy materials.
Right. Long hours.
You're often working in environments that, might be dusty, or you're dealing with, materials that you need to handle really carefully.
Right. There were some hazards there.
Absolutely, yeah. Safety is paramount in this job.
So you really do have to be, I imagine, pretty fit.
Right. You need a certain level of fitness for sure,
Damn no.
and a real commitment to safety for yourself and for your team.
Yeah, you're the leader. You're the one who sets that tone, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not for everybody, but for those who thrive on challenges, who enjoy really leading by example,
Yeah.
who take pride in a job well done.
I think those are all really great qualities of a good leader in any field.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Well, this is really interesting. I'm learning a lot.
It's a fascinating field.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
It also sounds like you really do have to be committed to being a lifelong learner in this career.
Yes, 100%.
Because they talk about new materials, new techniques, new technologies,
Mm-hmm.
even like 3D modeling software. Is that common in the industry?
Absolutely, yeah. The world of tiling is constantly evolving. So all of those things you're going to have to stay on top of. You're going to have to be, going to seminars. You might need to get certified in different installation techniques,
Right.
new materials.
So it's always something new.
Yeah,
It's like they say, the learning never stops.
that's right. Yeah,
You really do have to be a very curious person
absolutely. Yeah.
and always wanting to learn and grow.
And that willingness to keep learning.
Yeah.
That's going to not only make you a better tiling supervisor, but it's also going to open doors for you to those higher level positions.
That's a good point.
And it could lead to more earning potential as well.
Always a plus.
Oh.
All right. Well, this has been great, but we are just getting started.
I know, right?
We've got more to dig into.
So much more to learn.
This guide actually has a whole section in here about the interview process
Oh, yeah.
with some sample interview questions.
Yeah.
And I got to say, these are pretty insightful.
Well, it's one thing to, read about the skills and responsibilities, but
Right.
acing that interview
That's how you get the job.
makes it your foot in the door.
Exactly.
Right?
So these questions are, I think, really useful.
Yeah, these are really valuable.
For anyone who's serious about landing a tiling supervisor role.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for example, how do you handle a project that's behind schedule?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is a tough one.
Talk about a pressure cooker. How would you answer that?
Well, I think it really gets to the heart of problem solving, but also leadership
Well,
under pressure,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not just about finding a quick fix.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think about communicating clearly with your team,
Right.
managing expectations, if there are clients involved or project managers. And you
Well-
might even need to get a little creative with your solutions.
I imagine those people's skills really come into play too.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's another question here about resolving conflicts on the job,
Right.
which, let's face it, that's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Anytime you've got people working together.
Mm-hmm.
And they even give an example of a tiling supervisor who had to mediate a disagreement.
Oh, really?
Yeah, between two team members
Okay.
about the best way to install this really tricky mosaic.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can see how that could get a little heated. When you've got two people who are very, passionate about their work,
Right, they both think they're right.
they both think they're right. And they might both have really good ideas, but ultimately
You'll make a decision.
you need to have that person who can come in, be that mediator, that diplomat.
Yeah, like a counselor almost.
A little bit of that too, yeah, because, ultimately you want to foster a positive and productive work environment.
Right, yeah. No one wants to be working on a team where there's a lot of tension.
Right. Exactly.
Because then mistakes happen.
Well, and it's also it's not enjoyable.
Right.
It's not fun for anyone.
Okay, I like that.
So yeah, creating that team environment.
When your team is happy, I always say,
Yes.
the tiles practically lay themselves.
Yeah, you said it.
Yeah. Okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
But it's not all smooth sailing and team building exercises, is it?
Right.
I mean, you really do have to know your stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
Because there are also questions in here about the technical aspects of tiling.
Right.
Right.
You are the expert.
Like, different types of tile adhesive, how to handle hazardous materials safely.
Right. You need to know those building codes inside and out.
Right. You can't just be like, I don't know, figure it out.
Exactly. You are the point person for all of that.
Right, because you're the one that's ultimately responsible if something goes wrong.
Absolutely. And not only do you need to know that information yourself, but you also need to be able to explain it to your team.
That's a good point, yeah.
Right.
And often on the fly.
Yeah, and in a way that they will understand, especially if you're training someone new.
There's a question in here, I wrote it down.
Okay.
Explain how to install a diagonal tile pattern to someone with no prior experience.
Oh, wow. That's a great question.
Right.
Because it really forces you to think about, like,
How to break it down?
how to break it down, how to explain it in a way that someone who's, completely new to this can understand.
I think that's a really important skill, frankly, in any leadership position.
Absolutely.
Being able to share your knowledge in a way that's digestible and easy to understand.
Yeah, and that, making sure everyone is on the same page, that's communication, right?
Right, that's what it's all about. It's kind of what we're trying to do here with this deep dive, isn't it?
There you go.
For aspiring tiling supervisors, give them all this info.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the challenges, we've talked about, some of those leadership and communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
But what about advancement? Like, where do you go from here?
Right.
Once you are a tiling supervisor?
Well, RoleCatcher actually highlights that there is potential for career advancement within this field, which I think is exciting.
Oh, good. Because you don't want to get stuck
Right.
doing the same thing forever.
Exactly. You want to know that there are other opportunities, right? Places you can grow.
What do they say?
So they lay out these different career stages.
Okay.
You start as that trainee, you move up to junior, and then eventually senior tiling supervisor.
So there's a real ladder you can climb.
There you go. Yeah.
And I imagine each stage comes with more responsibility, but probably also more earning potential.
Absolutely. And you can even kind of tailor your journey a little bit based on, maybe you're really interested in the estimating side of things.
Okay, yeah.
Or maybe you discover you really love that, hands-on aspect of tiling.
Right, but you don't want to be the one supervising.
Right, but you prefer maybe working on smaller scale residential projects versus, those big commercial buildings.
Right, okay, yeah, finding your niche.
Exactly.
So there are all these different paths you can take, even within that world of tiling.
There are, and they even talk about the importance of networking.
Oh, yeah.
Building those relationships, with suppliers, with contractors, even with other tiling supervisors.
All right.
Because it's true what they say. It's not just what you know, it's who you know.
It's about those connections.
Especially in a field like this.
Right.
Word of mouth is huge in construction.
And recommendations.
Yeah.
I bet it is.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so whether that's, attending industry events, joining some of those professional organizations, or even just connecting with people online.
Right, social media.
Exactly.
LinkedIn, all that.
All of those are ways that you can, start building your network and potentially, open doors to new opportunities down the road.
So it's like you're building a mosaic.
Yes.
Of your own career,
Love it.
Piece by piece, connection by connection. And speaking of connections, I got to hand it to RoleCatcher.
Yeah.
They got this really cool feature. It's on their online platform, and it's called Board View.
I've seen that, yeah.
And it's like this visual way
It's great.
that you can track your job applications. You can organize all your resources. It's amazing.
But it's really cool. It's it speaks to their whole mission, I think.
Which is?
Empowering job seekers.
Okay.
To give them the tools and the resources they need to succeed.
It's like having a little career coach.
Exactly. Right in your pocket.
In your pocket.
Yeah, but don't forget about those career guides.
Oh, yeah. Those are good, too.
Those are like roadmaps, right? For that professional journey.
Totally. And it's not all just internal. They've also got a whole section on external resources. Like professional associations, industry organizations. They list those out.
Oh, wow. Okay. They really do hold your hand through the whole process.
They really do. In a good way. I don't mean that in a condescending way, but they're very thorough.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah. Which I think is great because it shows they're really trying to
provide a lot of value.
Yeah, add value. And they even mention the Tile Contractors Association of America.
Oh, okay.
The National Tile Contractors Association.
Right.
So if you're serious about this, there are places you can go to plug in.
Absolutely.
And network and learn all that good stuff.
Love it.
It's like they've created this whole support system for anyone who wants to, navigate this world of construction. And it's not just for aspiring tiling supervisors, which I think is smart. They even have a section in here for related careers.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important because it acknowledges that, like,
Right.
career paths.
They're not linear.
They're not always linear.
Right.
You know, you might start out thinking, okay, I want to be a tiling supervisor.
Right.
And then you realize,
Yeah.
actually, my passion lies
Angel
in
girls.
estimating those project costs or,
Yeah.
you know, actually designing those tile layouts.
Or maybe they just love tile so much.
Right.
They're like, you know what? I do want to work with my hands,
Mm.
but I think I'd rather do like smaller residential projects.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to be on these big job sites.
Yeah, you find your niche.
Right, exactly.
You're like, this is where I belong.
So it's cool that they give you that
Yeah.
kind of broader perspective.
And they actually help you explore those options with their
Okay.
skills analysis, their transferable skills analysis.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So they show you how those skills you've developed
Mm-hmm.
as, you know, let's say someone's been working as a tiler for a while
Right.
and they're thinking about moving into supervision.
Yes.
They can show you, okay, well, here's how these skills that you already have
Translate it
would actually apply.
right to these other related fields.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like having a career compass
Ooh.
guiding you towards your true north.
Okay. I love that analogy.
What's
That's
that?
a good one.
Thank you.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here
We have.
in the world of the tiling supervisor.
It's a fascinating world.
It really is. I'm learning a lot. This is really interesting.
Yeah, me too.
As we kind of wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways that you hope our listener is walking away with?
Well, I really hope that they have a newfound appreciation
Okay.
for, one, the complexity of this profession
Mm-hmm.
and also the artistry that's involved.
That's a good point.
You know, it's not just about sticking tiles to a wall.
Yeah, we've been saying that this whole time.
Exactly.
It's so much more than that.
It's about precision, it's about problem solving,
leadership.
and it's about, you know, that commitment
Yeah.
to creating something that is both beautiful and functional.
Form and function. Got to have both.
Yeah.
And I think something else that's been really great about this deep dive is we've seen that there are multiple entry points into this field and opportunities for growth all along the way.
Absolutely.
So, you know, if you don't have years and years of experience, that's okay.
It's not a barrier to entry.
No, not all. You can start as a trainee or you can, you know, jump in with years of experience.
Mhm.
There's always going to be something new to learn.
Right.
There's always a way to specialize. There's always a way to advance.
Yeah, if you're willing to put in the work.
So it's not like a dead-end job. There's room to grow.
Not at all.
No.
Which is really cool.
And I think you made a really good point earlier about continuous learning.
Yeah.
Like, that really is essential here.
It's not just for, like, doctors and lawyers.
Right.
You know?
It applies to everybody.
It applies to tiling supervisors, too.
To stay on top of your game, right?
You got to know what those new materials are, what the new techniques are.
The technology is always changing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Stay curious. Well, this has been quite a journey,
It has.
exploring this multifaceted role
It really is a multifaceted role.
of a tiling supervisor.
Yeah, so much more to it than meets the eye.
It really is. And if there's one thing that I want our listener to take to heart,
Okay.
it's that,
Yes.
you know, whether you are meticulously planning out a complex tile layout,
Right.
or you're guiding your team of tilers, you know, towards success on a project,
Mm-hmm.
there's an art to what you do.
Absolutely.
Embrace that artistry, hone your skills,
Yes.
build your network,
Love.
and watch your career flourish.
One tile at a time.
One perfectly placed tile at a time.
I love it.
All right. Well, that's it for this deep dive.
That was fun.
I had a blast. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.